up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Maggie, and me bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 15.1, Baron von Cheesy Scarf, where we are covering the graphic novel War Cry. My name is Tanzan, and I am joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
What's up?
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling. A secret conflict is raging across the world, from the shadows of ancient Sicily to the nighttime streets of Chicago. A war between the vampires of the Red Court and wizards of the White Council, protectors of the innocent. The bad guys are winning. In fact, the Council is so desperate to reinforce their decimated ranks that they've turned to someone they've long considered untrustworthy, Harry Dresden. Now a warden, Harry's been tasked with leading a team of young, inexperienced wizards, and their first mission will determine the outcome of the war with the Red Court.
Issue 1. Harry and his group of inexperienced wardens are tasked to assist the group of Venatori Umbrorum in Iowa. They defend against a Red Court vampire attack as soon as they arrive.
I've said it before, I'll probably say it again, but I like that the stakes are just as high in the short stories and graphic novels and such as they are in the books.
Yes.
It's not like, it's not
Complete
skewered
holiday.
again. Yeah.
It's not like, time out for our life, or we'll just have shit's still happening around the world.
Yeah.
So we start the issue with a recap of the war between the Red Court vampires and the White Council, and the recent events in Sicily. The comic shows Morgan fighting Red Court vampires.
Yeah, Morgan and Lucio on the hunt. This is currently where this graphic novel takes place. We're 4.5 years into the war with the Red Court. 4.5 years since Harry went and blew up Bianca's
mansion at the end of Grave Peril, book 3. Now we just finished book 7.
Crazy, right? And this graphic novel takes place about 4 months after Deadbeat.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad you keep track of this calendar stuff.
Gotcha.
They also say it in the...
Sure. But mostly it's me.
But mostly it's
me.
Yeah. Yeah, that horrific, launched ambush attack, spot after spot after spot. It's still terrible and horrible, and I didn't really need a recap of it. Thanks.
There's
in literal graphic detail this time.
Yeah. There's one part here where I'm like, really? So it does this review of the Wardens, and it says, the Wardens of the White Council are damn powerful wizards. Incorruptible. The best of the best. Are we sure? Wasn't Demore?
I could take umbrage with that statement.
Just real couple of examples.
There's an exception to every rule. Yeah, powerful, undoubtedly. Incorruptible. It's wishful thinking there, Harry. Just fake it till you make it. If I just keep believing it.
He wrote that when he was 15 and a half.
He's like, I'm just going to snip this from my diary and just copy paste.
All right. There was a time.
Nothing to change here, boys. It's all good. So fast forwarding through that, when we get to the current day. First of all, I like that right off the bat, Harry's too cool for the cloak. He's like, I already have a duster.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it off. Susan gave this to me.
It's gotta be, which actually is fucked up because it's not what he's wearing. He's got his brown duster on in this, not his black leather one. The brown canvas one was his original, and Susan gave him the black leather, which was now unspelled. So see, this is where I have a little bit of issues with the, do you follow? I'm like, let's put in all these details about the timeline and where we're at in the war and what's going on. But you know what?
No one checks the artwork.
We're just gonna.
I noticed this.
We're gonna give them.
There's a couple times when the artwork goes directly against the text in this specific graphic novel.
Well, and even the consistency within the storyline itself, certain details disappear and reappear, like bandages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What? They're just wizards. They just have that shit.
It's like, I need to do magic now.
You just caught you just caught it in between changes. It's like, they go to the bathroom off screen. You just caught them like, oh, we were just changing it right then. And now look, there's a fresh one on. But yeah, same thing in one of these very early ones here, either when they're running to, I think it's just when they're about to get to the house. And like the way they drew Harry was just like, who the fuck is that weird? Like, sorry, no offense. Like I said before, greatly admire artists and they can do this. I could not.
A lot of the different graphic novels are done by different artists, and I like this one the most. Like, this is the most accurate to who everyone looks like for me in my head.
Yeah.
But yes.
But yeah, just certain expressions and things, like their faces contort so much and like whatever. Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit, because I noticed that even one part there was like, I think he went, and I don't even know that I actually wrote it down, but I did remember seeing it where I think somebody said no, but it just had the letter N and then no zero, like no O.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Huh.
Well, there's a couple where it repeats. Like there's one where it's like we have to get to the house or something like that. It's like,
I missed that.
Yeah, or one where there's like the missing. It's like we have to get fridge content. This is
why
like,
you always have a third-party editor,
right?
Somebody third-party to look at your stuff.
And some of that, like the one missing, I was like, some of that I wondered teeny tiny bit, because you are working with limited space here. It's not like the novel where you can put in as many words on the page and they're all going to fit in that, right? I'm like, sometimes I wonder a little bit, because I've noticed that a few times with things, and I'm like, is like obviously like the get to. I'm like, okay, well that's repeating itself. Obviously, that's just a quote unquote typo. Right, but things like with missed words, sometimes I'm like, is it just kind of...
To be fair, I do notice that in other graphic novels.
Yeah, I've seen it in other places too. I was like, is it just that you're trying to fit it in there, and either you had to take it out to fit, or you just didn't notice because it's like a smaller space, because you got to squish into the text boxes and with the pictures, but yeah.
So right here in the car, and as we discussed in the summary, they're discussing what the job is, and Intel says that the Red Court's going to attack a group of Venatori Umbrorum. When's the last time we heard about those guys?
Ooh, Susan.
Most recently.
Who?
Oh.
Just kidding.
The principal used to be one.
So it's kind of interesting.
Bigfoot.
Tanzan, you did skip that one a little bit, but...
I did the work.
You did the work. You did read it. I just mean maybe... But we just met somebody in that, and now here we are just a couple of weeks later. Same guys, same problem. It's a little bit like, what the hell is happening with these guys? They're just fucking imploding on themselves all in the same summer.
I mean, it's not quite the same problem. I don't think the vamps are here for hair transplants. But we don't know. Harry's not even allowed to open the orders yet to find out. But
just saying, something about this summer year, I guess. We're not really at summer yet, but...
Yeah, well, yeah, in the middle of the frozen wasteland. Yeah, even in Iowa, that's not summer yet.
Iowa.
But yeah, yes, they are popping up all over the place. These guys are just suddenly this... Which does kind of make sense, I guess, because like I say, they are this...
It's good to keep them in the back of the brain. Like, so it's not just like left field, like, who?
Well, it's meant to be a secret group, and I guess the more and more entrenched in the supernatural Harry becomes, the less and less these secret groups are kept secret, and Harry's just like... Oh, yeah, right. I talk to those guys every day. I forgot that, like, we're not all just talking to them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, it's secret from the Muggle world and stuff like that, right? Again, but yeah, more to the point that exactly makes sense. The more entrenched in this war, the more they're going to need their information contacts and scholars. And so, yeah, it kind of makes sense that they're popping up a lot more now, because it's like, yeah, we need this shit. We need all the intel and history and whatever that we can get on shit that's going down. So while you guys have been sitting there studying for the last 10 years, now we need all that shit. Yeah. But yeah, it's so secret that they weren't even allowed to open their orders until they got within like 5 miles of, I don't know, he's like, you can't open them until we get there, but he's flipping them out in the car, so.
What are they afraid of? They're just gonna like turn back around and be like,
Well, they're incorruptible. It's not like they're going to tell anybody where they're going and what they're doing, right? Why can't they just tell them at the start?
I wonder, though, it's just like, what was the secrecy really? Like, if somebody is like a stowaway in that car, they're a stowaway in that car 5 miles from the house, too. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
But
This
yes,
whole,
magically encrypted that.
The car breaking down, Harry, I fucking hate you and your stupid fucking car. And then him telling them that, like,
least
we
he's
can
got a
take
car.
3 breaths. Yeah.
At least he's so good.
Where's your car, buddy?
Making them run those 5 miles, though, is also just like...
Right, and like Yoshimo just had a broken leg. Like, she's
evil.
4 months ago.
They should have killed this guy. He sucks.
still... Ugh.
Harry Dresden, you are in charge of these 3. Great. I will become the sadistic asshole that I've known all wardens above me to be.
Honestly, and it's so good that he actually like took some time to like work on his endurance because they run for an hour straight. Like that's like marathon.
Yeah.
We already know he's been training with Thomas, but that's still fucked up. And we don't know the other 3 are doing
Murph and whatever. Yeah. Although, I mean, I guess you get plunged into a war. I guess you're going to do some heavy-duty boot camp, basic training kind of shit.
that. Hopefully, yeah.
Like, hopefully, I mean, they had to run away from a bunch of zombies. Maybe they're like, this might be a thing.
I was going to say, this is the thing about wizards, though, that most of them are not as battle-ready as Harry. Most of them are just in their towers, like, doing
This
potions
is
and
true.
spells. They're not on the treadmill.
But we know, as he already said about these guys in Deadbeat, these guys were dropped in the deep end, like baptism by fire, right?
Yeah.
Like, these guys didn't get a chance to have any security guard. They were, like, literally, like, soldiers immediately, you know?
And nothing
So-
like starting a crucial mission with like an hour's worth of your endurance gone.
Right?
That, too.
Let's just put you at a disadvantage. I do have to laugh though, like, okay, Ramirez, he's like,
So cocky.
yeah,
Such a ladies'
so
man.
copied, like
They love me.
farmer's daughters
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if like, at least in this instance, that they sort of use him as like sort of a more comic relief because Harry is put into this leadership role,
Yeah.
so it sort of needs
Yes.
it needs that sort of balance that Harry would normally provide.
Somebody else to be more of a smart ass.
It is good
and
that way.
more of a, yeah.
Who is this woman that Ramirez is protecting?
Oh, you're in the
Right
the
after-
flashback?
Right
Yeah.
after the farm. That's Yoshi.
Is it Yoshi?
Oh, she's cut her hair.
No, I thought that was Lucio. I thought that was
I
Lucio
said
in the new body.
Komori. Is that Alicia? Is that Lucio? Is that Yoshima?
I assume
I
that was
literally
Lucio's
can't
new
tell
body.
based off the artwork and based off the words around it. I'm
Yeah,
really not
I
sure.
guess I don't know. He just, I took it because it says he pretty much saved my life the same night Yoshimo broke her leg.
Which is the point that
But
he would
you're
have shot
right. But
Morgan
you're
in
right.
the leg. That's why I assumed that it was.
You're
It
right.
literally could be like any of them. That's why I'm confused.
And I think the first time around, I think that's what I was, same thing. And I was like, oh, that's Lucio. And then this time as I was re-skimming, I'm like, oh, it's, but yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I just assumed the context with the
It's just because
him with the gun when the last time it was mentioned in him saving his life, the gun was him shooting Morgan in the leg.
I basically just listed off every woman that was there that night. And I was like, it could be
Yeah.
any of them. I'm
Yeah.
really not sure.
I was going to say, because Yoshi is wearing the same kind of, or Yoshimo, sorry, is wearing the same kind of, like, tank top now, which I
That's
think
what I'm
is
wondering. Like,
also
she's just
part
gotten a
of-
haircut since then? Or...
And that is kind of what I was, but you're right, I've gone back and forth between... 'cause
Anyone
again,
else who owns this novel? This is literally Warcry and or the Dresden Files Omnibus 2. Please tell us what you think, who you think it is.
Oh no, you can see a definite definition in the face. Like go like 2 pages back where they're still in the car. There's what you can see her face more clearly. It is a different person.
Or is that just artist mistake?
Oh, because she does kind of have a little bit of the...
Harry, compare the boobs. Whose boobs are those?
Funny, because it's true.
Wow.
Yeah, because...
The mystery.
I'm really not sure.
You
Just
know,
some random farmer's
very
daughter.
assumptive.
Actually, here we go. I was going to say, okay, yeah, Alicia, but I was like, oh, yeah, it was Lucio. But Alicia and Alicia's body did not have the cloak. This one looks like, unless that's Ramirez's cloak flapping around her, but that one looks like she's got the cloak on, which Lucio wouldn't have had yet because...
There's nothing around her neck on there. That,
No, but you can
that's
see,
not a cloak.
But you can see by her hand the thing
I think
flapping, and then her hair's over. I don't know.
But you can see how the cloaks are adhered.
yeah,
neck
okay.
here, so there's nothing around her.
his-
We could make a
God
case for them
damn
all.
it. Yeah. Because, yeah, Corpse Taker also had, like, a sword and shit with her, so...
Right. Well, and that could be his. Like,
She was-
because it's like on his other hip, right? Like it doesn't that sword. We can't even tell if that's her sword or his.
I guess just the angle that it's... Though, it makes me feel more like it would... Rather than... But, yeah. Because, yeah, Alicia was supposed to have, like, super curly hair and stuff like that, too. But you're right, given artists' interpreted.
And
we know how clearly
according
the
to
artist
every
read the
cover
read the
of
context.
a Dresden book, he's got a hat.
Got a hat on it. Okay, so this is, Ramirez just saved some chick that night along with everybody else. Ramirez doesn't care. It's a woman.
That's the thing, though. It could be Komori when they were like a little bit further in the night when it was just Ramirez, Cowell, Dresden, and Komori. I was like when he's holding her back or something like that, trying to slice open his neck. Like
It could be, but she never did drop her cow. That'd be a really bad one if they,
full face.
if they suddenly full-faced Komori. So
Funny because in my notes I put a side by side of her first body and then assumed that was her in that second frame there. Oops, maybe not.
corpse taker
Yeah,
or
I see.
Yoshi.
in her new
Lucio.
body, Lucio in her new body.
Lucio, yeah. Because in the flashback we've still got short hair.
But really, it could be. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
In which case, comparing the boobs wouldn't work either because it's supposed to be different.
As a very different look for Lucio if it is her.
Yes, which was the whole point there, which is fine because she is in a new body, but it's who knows?
Oh, good point though.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth between. I'm like, oh, it's this person. No, wait, it's this person. No, wait, it's this person. Every time you read until you study it more.
Yep. So moving on a little bit when they make it to the house and they're clearly late because they decided, cars are for chumps.
Cars are for wusses. Like, no offense, and I get it, and love. Oh, but yeah, by the way, because they're like, when they get out to stretch their legs, and Ramirez is all like, "Was the thing made for clowns or midgets or whatever it is?" He says. I have to say, actually, again, I don't know about the back seat. Maybe I've never really ridden in a lot, or possibly any Beetles. But I know that I'm sure Dresden makes a point, and I know again, my 6.5 foot tall friend, they had a Beetle for a while, and he's like, no, like nice German cars, they're actually fairly spacious. He's like, I could drive in that thing and have like head clearance.
If you look at, I just flip back. He's got a front seat again.
Yes, he must have replaced it after the Moldings because they've all got to be sitting on something.
They all
he
have
just
seats.
worked for Bigfoot, okay? He just got paid like a couple million in gold.
Right. He's like,
Here's your new nugget.
Either that or again, it's artist slice liberty. Like, what? You didn't tell me this car had no seats in it. How was I supposed to know? It's a car. Of course,
The Bigfoot angle works for this one, okay? That was not a stretch of the imagination for sake of artist, okay? He really probably did just get paid in another chunk of gold.
Mike's like, I've been waiting for these, man. Here you go.
Right.
I got you, bro.
That's even funnier, is that every time Harry drives past Mike's shop, he's just the graveyard of Beatles waiting for Harry to pay enough to replace it.
Yeah, right. Mike's like, anytime one comes up, they're like, he's like, don't worry, I will.
Yeah.
I don't know when, I don't know what part, but every fucking Beetle out there is like, yeah, gimme.
50% of Mike's shop is just Beetle parts.
Beetle
Wow.
parts, right.
He's got his certification now. It's like the wall of Beetles.
Honestly, Mike is probably like the number one Beetle technician in the fucking country.
Yeah.
Like he probably
specializing in
the cell. We don't know, but this guy can fucking fix Beetles. We don't know. It's his perfect thing.
It has to do it like weekly.
We applaud you, Mike. We applaud you.
He's gotten really creative. He knows every bolt that goes into this
single
thing.
fucking part of every single inch of this car. Yeah, right. Anyway, so part of me is like, I don't know, the backseat really be that crowded because apparently they're actually fairly roomy for the size of the car they are. But also, I'm like, Harry, I love you, but why? Well, you know the Beetle is unreliable. Like, usually, you're pretty good most of the time, but again...
They're definitely not using George's SUV.
George's, yeah. But
You can't rent a car, like, from 2000 onwards.
I know,
so
but
I guess
like
in 1999 it's still...
I don't know, you couldn't have just, like popped in or out.
And seriously,
They got permission to use the ways.
If they're gonna bitch about cars, if they're gonna bitch about cars, where's your car?
Well,
Why aren't you
too.
driving yours then?
Yeah, Ramirez.
We had to fly in from
Yuki,
Texas and
Wild
LA,
Bill.
and who knows where Yoshima's from.
Those wizards aren't flying. You know, they bring a plane down in 30 seconds. But anyways, yeah. I just love how, exactly. It's always... Because it's happened to Harry so many times, like, in the books and stuff, too. I'm like, fuck, now I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
But tell us this can't be happening.
Right? Like, come on, man.
They were at least close.
They were close. They had a
They
few
probably
miles,
had
but
like
yes.
10 minute more of a drive to make it there. Like,
Well, yeah, obviously.
And if they'd made it, they'd have been earlier than the attack and everything would have worked out fine. However...
but doesn't make for good storylines, does it?
Okay, so this is what my next question is that once they do finally get up to this house, and we'll see in a couple more pages when they go inside, they're all like, you have to invite us in, you've got to like clearly define threshold here, blah, blah, blah. Why do they even bother doing the north, south, east, west thing when the house clearly has a threshold against these vampires? Wouldn't just going inside have just been the better option anyways?
You would think, perhaps, and...
Can you take a second to remind me what that is?
A threshold?
No, the north, south, east, west part.
Oh, and he sends each of them to protect the side of the house.
Yeah, as they arrive, the attack starts. So he's like, I'll take this side, you take that side, so they just take the 4 sides of the house.
Okay, so you're
I'm like, why? Why not just go inside?
yeah,
If the house has
why
a
stay
threshold-
outside? Why not run
If
indoors?
the vampires can't get inside anyways, why are you even bothering to stay out on the lawn?
Yeah, which
okay.
I admit, I was like...
Because we see it's a fully functioning threshold, because as soon as the wizards do finally go inside, they're like, give us some fucking permission, bitch. Like...
Yeah, and again, in these first couple of...
I mean, they do have to kind of check what's going on, though, because that could be any number of attacks. The Red Court already has shown that they don't really give a fig about playing fairly in a war.
Well, yeah, and
there could be bombs. And
this is where Harry's got the really funny face.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
Right? Yeah. But again, you see
He's got like the giant teeth.
Yeah.
It's his teeth,
Right.
and no pupils.
Yeah. His hairline and everything is just... But yeah, my question is, because the vamps aren't right there yet, right? They all have time to like get into position before. So again, right, I was like, if the vamps were already on the scene, I could see like, yeah, we got to get past these guys, or let's dispatch these guys before they do something too. But yeah, since they beat them by a couple of seconds and all have time to run around and get in position on a side of the house, yeah, I was like, why didn't y'all? Because that looks like the front door right there, and y'all are just running.
And especially
because
like you think you'd be huffing and puffing after this like run. It'd be like, I do need a minute inside. Someone give me a glass of water, and then we'll go fight some vampires.
Right?
It could also be a good way to like do a quick assessment of like from each side. Be like, okay, how fucked are we? Ooh, very fucked, or there's only a couple.
I guess, but I think you're much more skewered towards very fucked.
Right.
Zero plan and this like long run under your belt rather than... Still, yes, they do a tiny little wave. I guess the vampires are also doing their testing the boundaries right now too, because it just sends off a small wave. And then you get to Baron Cheesy Scarf here. And this woman, she never gets a name for the whole comic.
I was wondering that.
Never.
Not at all.
Never mentioned again, never referenced. We'll never find out who she is.
I don't know. She's called imbecile.
Yeah, I was gonna say she just gets when she gets kicked the shit kicked out of
I
her,
tried to find
like-
her name, like, first of all, just going through this comic, I tried to find it, and then I was, like, going through Wikipedia pages, trying to figure out if it was, like, referenced in another comic, or if Bravosa's ever mentioned again with a woman, and nope, she'll never get a name, ever.
Oh yeah, I
At least thus far. Maybe a name is incoming in 12 months, but...
I
right,
thus
because
far.
I think everything I put is the
Yeah,
woman or the
She's just a lackey. She did the same thing as Baron Munchausen here. They're like, we don't care about him after this book. He just wanted this one thing here, and we're moving on. So
Baron von Cheesy Scarf. No, she is like, talk about poor work conditions. Like,
yeah, what a crappy hostile workplace. Okay, so I look at this too. I was wondering at first, I'm like, did they do this? But no, it appears that this house already had a giant canyon maze in their backyard.
canyon maze, or is that the quarry? I know, that's
No,
getting a
just in
little
the
ahead.
backyard.
But like you flip the next page or two after, right?
That's the quarry. Yeah.
But it's like in the center, and then there's like a path. It's like one of those.
I mean, we don't know it now, but we will eventually find out it's the quarry. But
yeah, but
It's very close, much closer than I...
much closer
First thought.
than I first thought. And I don't know. I thought cores were just like.
and maybe it's employee
pits.
residence, like that it originally was until the Venatori took it over. Or, yeah, it's kind of a weird.
But any core I've seen is just a big bowl, a pit. It doesn't have like rings of.
I think it depends on what.
Carved.
It's hard to draw a pit.
Yeah,
It's really not.
I think it kind of depends on what they're drilling for, like, right? Like,
I guess it was. I'm like, is this some kind of like?
because I think a lot of the rock quarries that we see around here are like end up looking like gravel in the bottom, like.
Well, yeah, they're just a big hole because you dig everything out of them. Like maybe you've got like 3 or 4 pits, but
great
not like
Google.
concentric. This looks like one of those loot bag things where you've got the tiny little ball bearing and the little spiral
Yeah.
circular. But I'm like, was this some kind of like
Or
crazy?
a folding cup.
Yeah, was this some kind of like, well, sort of, but crazy defense system that it's like you can't get to the house because you've got like these giant like draw, so forget like
Looney Tunes, just like
Yeah.
and there's just
it's
this
like
open ground.
You can't just run up to this house.
This is an artist rendition who has clearly never seen one in his life. He's like, okay, big hole in the ground, but they got to get up and down. So this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, let's not put like a sloped side on it.
I am kind of surprised, like knowing, like looking in hindsight, going, "Oh, okay, I didn't notice that in the early when I first looked at it." And it is weird that this house that's supposed to be a home that would have a threshold is so close to a quarry, like your backyard of a quarry. So I don't know, maybe
like
I was saying, she said
and
that
if
this
it was
her
employee residence, then it wouldn't really have that much of a
threshold.
Well, she said this was like her grandfather's house, so I'm wondering if like way back in the day it was just like a little shed for the like warden of the quarry, whatever the name of that guy is, to watch over. And then eventually it was just like, well, my family needs a secret base and the quarry is not operational, so I'm just gonna put on like 45 additions to this tiny little shack and raise my family here. And now it's become a Umbrorum safe house. And
I don't know.
It's very strange.
You thought you were writing a cute little graphic novel,
and we're gonna pick it to pieces in my house.
Details.
I had no idea the family homestead started as a shack. Even I hadn't thought that far into the past.
guys. Now we have to maybe actually be considerate, and because we're on the radar.
Potentially speaking. Right? He knows of our podcast.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what?
Jim Butcher does know of our podcast. We do know that now.
We love you, Jim.
Jess has wonderful friends, but now I'm terrified to say anything. Oh, good shit.
Yes.
So yeah, we got Lackey Lady and this Baron Von Cheesy scarf, and yes, this was just a little test to see what they've got.
Princess Lackey.
Princess Lackey.
Yeah, there we go. That's her name.
Wouldn't it be like a countess or something if you've got like a baron? I don't know.
Funnier that way, I don't know.
Yeah, Princess Lackey. Okay, I like it. They've given a cloak to the warden they can least control. So because she's all like, they're getting desperate. And he's like, you say that like they're weak. No, now they're unpredictable.
That's what I'm saying, though. I'm like, if it was good enough for fucking Nicodemus, like, he's also letting the least controlled one out of the bag, all right? Fucking give it a rest. This is everyone's trump card.
Right? Yeah. So
You want predictability? Boring!
just throw you into a tombstone and move on. So how the fuck do thresholds work exactly?
Oh, I've never heard of it. What?
Yeah, I don't know, because this guy just manages to reach through a window and, like, got a guy.
Also my question, because, the vampires
my
are clearly...
That's magical prowess versus physical strength, maybe?
Is that all?
Would there be a difference there?
They pulled Butters through a window.
Yeah.
They did. Those were zombies. So it
But
is.
zombies probably still beholden to
Still-
threshold the same way.
He's not in his flesh mask, so he doesn't have to maintain that illusion.
Well, yeah, I was going to say this is the thing, because way back in the beginning, like book 1 or something, when Harry first addresses thresholds, and he's like, that's why vampires and so they have to like put all their energy into just like holding themselves together, either outside of... No, I can't remember, because I was going to say that was over a threshold, but I was like, maybe that was coming outside the Never Never. But one or the other. So yeah,
But I also remember reading parts where it's that technically they just weaken.
Yeah, because that's what happens to Harry. Harry doesn't need to. It just if he wants to use magic, he needs to be invited in.
Right.
Because it will leave all his magic. Yeah, which is why people walk into each other's houses all the time, invited or not, right?
This is partially just a strength thing. Things that are like pure magic and like need the universe to help hold them together are going to be torn apart by a really strong threshold, and things that are not a very strong threshold might just like, itch or something.
Yeah.
And then furthermore, like Harry exactly, as a human isn't going to be ripped apart by a threshold, but he just won't be able to use his magic, etc., etc. A very, 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 very strong vampire clearly doesn't care that much about thresholds and can just go through it and only lose a little
only
bit.
really getting their arms in there, right? So it's like if you've got enough momentum, you could still do damage with the
I was going to
slice.
say, like, yeah, maybe that's all it is, right? Like you say, the physical kind of, but yeah.
And I think with Butters with the grab, because there was multiple that tried at the same time.
Yeah,
like,
well, and
this all sucks for everybody. Let's do it now.
Harry has also said before his is weaker, being a rental, being a bachelor pad, right? Those things also make his, as opposed to like Murphy's, which was a home that had grandparents and parents and kids and grandkids and a lot, right? Like hers is. So there is that difference because we had the toad demon in book 1 eventually break its way in, and it could still spit acid, right? So it wasn't completely.
We'll even see.
It might have been weakened.
in the next
as you
short
mentioned,
story.
this one says that it was grandfather, so it is a home. It was at least for
this
at least for
threshold is
3
supposed to be like a
generations.
real house. It's why the wizards need invitation to go in.
Yeah, so
Why
they
it has a
can work.
quarry backyard? Well,
It's
a lot of questions here.
Every house has its quirks, just. But yeah. Anyway, so
Quarks.
like you say, quirks. So yeah, whether or not they can enter and do anything or not, but yes, the guy leaning at the window, he manages to take a swipe at anyways, and yeah.
This next page too.
back for you, little warden.
Yeah, right. This next page too, the full spread image. Within minutes, the Venatori joined the battle, firing military-grade weapons from seemingly every window. I couldn't decide whether to be grateful for the support or worried about why the hell a bunch of scholars had that kind of ordnance on hand. Really? Why did that many scholars have that much ordnance on hand? What's the question here? Fucking Daniel Jackson also knew how to fucking fire a gun. Like, they get it done. They know how to do it. Like,
him himself relies on.
Thank you.
Yes, Daniel.
Great series.
But that's my point, though, is that Daniel Jackson was just supposed to be like a fucking researcher, doctor, scientist guy.
Yeah.
He still had to learn how to fight off aliens.
They teamed him up with a military unit, so they're like, you know what? Stop being the wuss that holds us back and gets us into trouble. Yeah, exactly. And it is a kind of funny because, again, a lot of Harry's world like this, like, yes, they're Skrull, but again, if they know about the supernatural, they'd be fucking morons not to.
Exactly. No one's leaving their house after learning about
What
vampires.
are they gonna do? Throw a pizza out the window? Like, give me the fucking, MK, AK-47, Kalashnikov, whatever the fuck.
And especially because this is America and you can literally just go buy a gun because you want one. You don't need to have a job behind you, like, giving you permission. Like,
I'm going to 7-Eleven for...
yeah, that's my point, though, is that if this was
my
set...
nachos, my whiskey, and my 9 mil.
If this series was set in, like, Japan or Canada or something where you need a little bit more, like, reason for buying why you're, like, you can only get a hunting rifle here. Everything else you have to have, like, a certain job to buy certain weapons. But I'm like, America, of course, why wouldn't the skull? You can just have one just because. Just collect them just for something to do, like...
And especially, like, grandfather clauses and all that kind of stuff, right? If this is grandpa's dead hold, if they had a bunch of... They're like, these are my grandpas. I'm allowed to have all these. I don't have to tell you shit about them.
We live in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that too.
There's wolves out here. Maybe.
Right.
Iowa probably has wolves.
I feel like they could.
They are close enough to Michigan, okay? And I know for a fact Michigan has wolves, so...
Yes, but are they just the supernatural variety?
No point, you still need a fucking gun.
Yes.
There's a wolf on my porch? Oh my God.
I was going to say North America, there's got to be a huge, like, most of North America has got to be potentially valid wolf.
I just know, like, they're not really in California.
I understand.
Because
it's
it's
but
more
they're all
deserty.
over,
But
a bit of farmland there, so I
But-
wouldn't be surprised if there's, wildlife that needs...
I was going to say, they oh my God, speaking of, okay, so yeah, just boredom and, like, going to sleep, and I've been watching every once in a while, I tune into, like, the nature documentaries thing or whatever. So there was, like, this tiger one where they followed, like, this mom and her cubs, and then they did sort of a sequel, which I thought was going to be a sequel, but really just mentioned them and then went on to all about the people and the stuff they're doing in India, which was still kind of cool. But as this one area, I forget the name of it, something with a B, but as this city grew or whatever and became more, and the tigers, misplaced, then all of a sudden they started having attacks on cattle because easy prey and stuff like that, right? And so this one, like vet guy or whatever came up with this, like, tactic to, like, try and decrease the number, and apparently it has been super effective. And you know what he did? Painted eyeballs on the butts of all the cows. And that has significantly... So it looks like they can see you from both ends. So they just paint, like, these big eyes.
I mean, that's literally like peacock rules.
It's peacock rules. It's exactly. And I just thought that was so... And they're like, yeah, they have had a significant decrease in predator attacks on fenced cattle and shit.
You know what would be interesting is if they actually genetically adapt and then end up having fur patterns.
Fur patterns.
That
like,
look
give
like
them
eyeballs.
These eyeball butts and stuff like that. But... Yeah, and literally a team of
cows. Why couldn't you just develop this on your own?
And who knows? Maybe they will
That's
now.
That's definitely a different kind of ribeye steak.
It's a flank eye steak now. But it's funny because, he goes out with, like, a team of them, and they literally you see them just with their little, like, can and paintbrush, and they're just, like,
Can you imagine that Craigslist ad?
And, like,
painting cow butts.
Little
Like, job. Inquire within.
They put, like, the little eyelashes and everything. It's, like, so good.
What do? You just hold up a bunch of different, like, smiley faces at wolves and see which one do you dislike most?
I bet you the tigers are not actually just like, they're just like, what the fuck?
I don't eat that anymore.
I don't know what's in that.
But, okay, here's my question, because they found out that birds really, really, really like dark-colored breasts, chests, whatever. And they also really like bands of color around legs. And so researchers, when they started putting bands on birds, they realized that they were accidentally making some birds more attractive than other birds, and that those birds were like disproportionately like fathering way more of the edge of the forest. And then they found out the same thing when they started coloring birds, that they were like making these birds seem way more attractive. So then they were like,
they colored birds. Why did they start coloring birds?
They were just doing the same thing. They were just like trying to test different things or whatever like that, right? And then they realized like, oh shit, we're making these birds too fuckable. Like, and so they had to find a new way to like tag birds basically, because they were
makeup and jewelry, people. We've been doing this for how many centuries?
That's the thing. So I'm wondering, like, are these cows now like being turned off of their friends, or even more cool? Like,
right? He's not even more like, my God, check out the...
Like, you know the Doctor Who story, the Sneebles and the Snurples?
The Sneeches?
Sneeches.
The Sneeches with stars and the Sneeches without?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like...
The Snibbles and the Snarbles, those guys.
That's what I said. So then when they try to go into the house, fucking finally, they can't find Ramirez, this piece of shit.
Damn it. So rude.
And he comes up eventually and is all like, speak of the handsome devil, he shall appear. And then Harry, biggest hypocrite of the planet. Ramirez was the best of them, completely solid in a scrape, but if he didn't learn when to cut the macho act, he'd get himself or a friend killed.
Or worse. There's always a worse. So which is he? Is he the best, or is he got a lot to learn, Harry? Come on.
But Harry's just this whole time, he's like, you gotta lay off on the jokes, man, take something serious. And I'm like, who are you?
He didn't say jokes.
That's overcompensation for his silliness.
He said machismo. Okay, don't be so confident and cocky. You can be a smart ass. You just can't be. Yeah, right? Pot kettle.
Harry's telling her, he's like, give us a fucking invitation so we can come the fuck in, lady. And she's like, of course. I humbly invite you into my home.
Like, even if you just phrase it that way, aren't you automatically, like, not humbly invite, like, right? Like, I feel like that's just one of those things that you're like, I humbly invite you to shut up. What? No.
Do they practice this
They're
pose?
scholars. They just need a little bit of, verbal frill.
Pedantic or something.
See? Better. Yeah.
Pedagogic.
Okay, just looking at this image. It's like a boy band trip.
Where were you when we needed our Latin?
Not invited to the podcast.
Construction in Saskatchewan.
But seriously, did they pose for this? Did they practice this in the mirror? Like, all of them.
What you missed is that we were both like pretending to have a gun slung over our shoulder and our hips thrust out.
I was trying to do the girly pose on the first one.
Well, none of you even talking about the pose that I meant. I meant Harry Dresden introducing Bill Ramirez and Yoshima.
Well, shit. Well, see, those are the 2 pages that are corrupted mine, so I can't see it.
Oh, I see, because Ramirez, they're just there. Yeah, she's bowing. Yeah,
he looks like he's in a Pantene Pro V commercial.
He's like,
for look at how wonderful my hair looks.
I'm just getting the vampire guts out of my hair, okay, so I don't sprinkle them all over the living room.
All 4 of them, though, they just seem so...
Yes.
Oh, see, even the Venatori, though, that's the one I was referring to.
Yeah.
Because
her too.
She's got her hips thrust out. She's got this gun over her shoulder. I'm all that. Yeah.
Other than the one bleeding out and dying, they all seem like they practice their poses too. And this is why it's so weird, is because as we'll come to learn, she's keeping secrets from them. And it's like right away, this would have been the perfect time to tell them what's what. And
so by the way, since we're all about to get, slaughtered by vampires, why are they here? I don't know. They want my copy of Green Eggs and Ham?
And it's immediate, too, because Harry's like, I don't trust this bitch. Go search the house, Ramirez. And he's like, sure thing, boss. And it's just like, yeah, why was there this big secret? Why? If I was a Venatori and I'm under attack and I'm going to call the White Council and be like, come help me. And the White Council shows up and they're like, why are you under attack? And I'd be like, ooh, I wish I knew. Like, why'd you even call for help then?
Well, I was going to say, it leads to because it goes back to, like I say, his magically encrypted letter that he couldn't even open till they got, because apparently the people giving the orders don't even trust each other. So
this message will self-destruct.
Right, but even this, because it kind of makes a fair point. It doesn't just immediately. He's like, what? Yeah, if they wanted us dead, they'd just burn down the house and be done with it. So obviously they want something here, which is sort of the first thing that he's like, there's something else here, right? It's not just like, I met this woman and something's up, And fair tactic, like, yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Why don't they just burn the house down anyways to get what they... Like, the vampires...
Especially if the vampires do know what's inside.
The vampires obviously have some clue what they're coming after. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that would have been a safe bet. I don't think that would have destroyed what you wanted. So just bulldoze it or something. Like, you'll get your thing out of it after, like...
Here's one thing for the artist, though. To give credit where credit is due, okay? You have managed to draw Harry's perspective and everything, and that he is looking down people's shirts constantly.
Okay, in all fairness, the man is 7 feet tall, okay?
Yeah.
He does look down the shirts of everybody. That's...
To be fair, just because Jim Butcher doesn't write it down, that would be the one accurate thing in this artwork here.
That would be, yeah.
It's harder to draw a black jacket than it is a brown one, I think, in graphic novels. Like,
The princess...
Lackey?
Princess Lackey's wearing a black jacket.
oh, that's true. Okay, I don't know.
I think maybe it was to, like, be more contrast with the actual Warden's black, gray, maybe.
Gray cloaks, maybe.
Show he's not wearing one of theirs. He is in his own jacket.
It's like, I just know these red court vampires are going to just dress in black, those little fuckers, so I'm going to wear my brown jacket for now. There's going to be lots of blood
Susan,
and guts, so...
thanks so much, but it's, like, really hard for people to know I'm a good guy when I dress in black all the time.
Yeah. This is my I think I'm going to die jacket.
See,
so.
if it was before he had spelled it, I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm not Reki. I'm not getting vampire guts all over my good coat or, something like that. But I'm like, no, that's the one that keeps you fucking alive now. You need to wear that one.
You need that spelled one up.
Plus, the spells keep the guts off. I love how that was included in it.
So we have to assume his brown jacket, if he still has it even.
He doesn't have a dry cleaning guy. He's got to keep his shit clean.
Has been bespelled as well. Yeah. Like, he's not going to do one or the other. He's like, I'm going to wear the weaker jacket today because I want to make this extra hard.
Well, but that's it's like, why are you? don't need to switch back to the other jacket.
You know what?
Everybody has it all.
A challenge.
So essentially, they come down to it since MacGuffin was injured in that fight because a vampire, for whatever reason, is allowed to stick his arm through the window.
Yeah.
They are not able to run away, which means they have to stay and fight and hold their own until sunrise. Which is, they're 10 minutes into sundown, so just the rest of the night to go.
Something like that.
So eventually they come to the conclusion that they're just going to have to fucking fortify and figure this shit out and hold on to the night.
Makes sense. I mean, that's... Oh, we already got attacked outside, so let's just do this.
And to be fair, the vampires know it too. They're like, yeah, we got all night. Who gives a shit?
See?
We tested this out. We know what you got.
See this picture of the house, Tanzan?
Yeah.
See that? That's how you draw a hole. I'm just saying.
Now you point that out, and you see all of the vampires coming out of the hole, too. It's like...
Yeah, they're just now swarming over the edge of that other one. But I'm like, you can just draw a hole. The artist drew a pit on the side of the house. You didn't have to draw this concentric, circly maze thing. I don't know.
What a great place to raise a child, though. Like, how many of them just died falling down that hole?
Things
have
where
you?
it is... Yeah, because what it is it's a full spiral. It's not actually concentric rings. It's a spiral all the way down, so you have...
I mean, people do need to get up and down it.
So the trucks go down on that.
Yeah,
Is that where you're...
Maybe because it looks,
it's not
like they're all
just like
even.
one. No.
It looks like it's just a sheer wall on each of these.
Size of vampire is not to scale.
It's technically a road that's going all the way down.
Okay, that would be because I've seen the ones that I've seen. I'm like, I had to watch a whole bunch of gold miners, and they just have a slope on the side. They go. There's not usually a full all the way roundabout.
Yeah,
there's usually just a sloped wall on one
Iowa's well known.
And I think that's
strangely dug.
I think the perspective is off because I don't know why they be so small because look at the size of the vampires
right. See, it looks like a walking.
I mean, it's a comic.
Their perspective is wrong.
Yeah. This concludes our episode 15.1, Baron von Cheesy Scarf. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.